It's not going to change for women in a Christian community who are in leadership if we're not talking about these things. So this podcast is speaking true, vulnerable experiences where women really tried their best to show up well, even when they failed. And how do we extend grace in failures and mistakes, knowing that to be a leader and to be a woman in leadership is one of the hardest things, especially in the Christian community. This podcast is for women who are pastors, CEOs, ministry leaders, founders, and women serving within the fivefold who carry vision publicly and wrestle privately. As you listen, you will gain courage to confront your own story without shame, wisdom to strengthen your leadership, and clarity to rebuild with discernment, boundaries, and grace. You will not just hear testimony, you will receive language for your process, tools for healthier leadership, and the confidence to lead again without losing your soul. This is the Sword Grace Unscripted podcast. Welcome, everybody, to Sword Grace Unscripted. I have an incredible guest with me today, and we're going to talk about some real things around just being a mom and all of the amazing businesses that my guest is leading and participating in, and with a large family. So I think that in general takes a lot of courage and just to be steadfast. So I just want to welcome Brigid Tebaldi to Sword Grace Unscripted. Thank you for joining me, Brigid.
Thank you so much for having me, Tina. I'm really excited to chat about motherhood and business and Jesus and whatever else
I love it.
To chat about.
Yeah, so good. Well, I'm going to start with just sharing with everybody who you are, because I really want women who are joining us, moms who might feel the heaviness of just all that they carry and who are also leading businesses. So I just want them to feel encouraged by your story as well. So Brigid is leading two businesses, one being called Loretto Wellness and Five Phillies Farm. And we are certainly going to leave all the links for everybody to check Brigid out. She is a board certified health and wellness coach. She has her MBA. She is a traditional birth companion. And, I know just before we started, one of the things that you had put on your description, I'm just going to read it because I love it, just how vulnerable you were in this statement. And it says, inwardly, I'm attempting to steward my own family, my marriage, and my interior life with more reverence than ambition. Oh my goodness. That in itself speaks to so many of us, Brigid. She's a homeschooling mom to 5 children. She is mothering through different developmental seasons at once, which, my goodness, 5 children at different seasons, that in itself is hard. And Brigid is learning how to lead without sacrificing presence and how to build without abandoning the quiet, ordinary obedience that does not photograph well, but sustains everything else. Brigid, that statement is, I think, for so many of us, we get on like social media and there's the highlight reel. So the fact that you said it's ordinary obedience that does not photograph well, but sustains everything else. I just want to thank you just for sharing that vulnerability. Because, you're holding a lot at the same time and stewarding a lot. So I would love for you to share how you came to the place where you are today. There's probably a story in there that led to today.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for sharing all of that. It's fun to kind of hear my words reflected back to me in that way. So yes, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
And the story of where I am today is very complex. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details, but basically I was like kind of the typical person and went through college, didn't really know what I was going to do, thought I would do one thing, ended up not doing that thing. Got married young to a wonderful man and started having kids like way sooner than we planned. Because again, like we were trusting in God, but it's also like, no, that doesn't happen yet. Like that's not according to our plan, but God had other plans, thankfully. Mm-hmm. And so that like really shifted the trajectory of things because I was actually out of college, I was a professional horse trainer. And so once I had kids though, that became a lot less exciting because I didn't want to just jump on any horse because I didn't want to die. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And so and I would jump on the crazies and I was like, I can't keep doing this anymore. And so what I thought I would be doing for a long time ended like very abruptly.
Mm.
And that was really hard because, I mean, it's all about your identity, right? Like, everything's wrapped
Yes.
into that. And so it was beautiful, and, like, obviously, thanks be to God, it happened.
Mhm.
But even now, sometimes I still struggle, because we still have horses, but it's in a very different capacity than it was before. Like, I was riding, like, 8 to 10 horses a day and, like, everything like that. Now I'm like,
Oh, wow.
"Can I ride once or twice a week?" You know? And so
Yeah.
it's this big identity shift. And so, especially with
Mhm.
motherhood too, it's just like identity shift after identity shift after identity shift happening. And so again, thought I would do this, had kids, thankfully, and morphed into something else. And when that was happening too, we like inadvertently started Five Phillies Farm, which is a
Mm.
wedding and event business. And I graduated from college one weekend, and literally the next weekend, like we started having weddings and events. And
Oh,
it was just like,
wow.
go, go, go. And that was 14 years, 13 years ago, something like that. And so, yeah, it's just been like that business has again done really well. It's really great. It's seasonal, but it still allows like my kids to come with me and like they help set up the
Mhm.
weddings and events. And then I can put them to bed at night, like during the event and go back up and clean up. And it's just like really beautiful.
Mhm.
And then I was feeling this other call though, where it's like, I love health and wellness. And so I love like that alternative side of things as well. Like definitely identify as quote that like crunchy type person. And so
Yeah.
I was like, I still support other women like this and
Yeah.
was just really wrestling with this of like, how do I do it? What does this look like? And so I got into the birth world initially because I love birth. Like, I mean, I've had 5 births. They're amazing. Love it.
Yeah.
And I loved that for so long, and I did so much with helping moms heal after birth trauma, and again, I
Mm.
still love birth, like, I still find it's, so beautiful, so amazing, so transformative, but when I was, like, really wrestling with this, it's like, I really love helping women, like, do what God has put on their hearts. And in order to do that, if God's calling you to business, great. If he's not, great.
Mhm.
Like whatever it is, it's obviously your road. But like he's calling us to do it from this joyful, peaceful place. And that's one of those gifts that like he has given me is like that I do have this, I joke it's like a type AB personality where like I love order and like structure and like cleanliness. But
Yeah.
then I'm also okay with some chaos. And so,
Okay.
which if kids running
Yep.
around.
Yep.
And so it's like he's blessed me with it, so I get asked all the time, "How do you do it all?" And so I've been really thinking about that before I was thinking about that question, like, "How do I do it all?" Because I don't even think about it, like,
Mm.
it's just how I am, right? And so
Yeah.
thinking about it and, like, really working through it, not to say I don't struggle with it at all, but I got to the point where I was like, "This is a skill that I have learned, that having this capacity to do this, like, to carry all these things, and that is what other women need support with." And
Yes.
especially because not all of us are taught how to hold all of these things. So it's like really that how do you be like that Proverbs 31 woman who's like doing all the things and then also being faithful in like all of these different pieces,
Mhm.
but then also being authentically you is huge.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
especially with social media, there's so much comparison and everything like that. And it's wonderful to be able to be in a space where I can help support other women who really are called to hold a lot, whether it's big families, whether it's homeschooling, businesses, whatever,
Yeah.
but doing it in a way that's really authentic to them. And
Yes.
so, like, that's sort of the short of the story, a little bit about where I am now, where I came from, and so yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I love is as we're doing this podcast episode, I love that your children are in the background because, I mean, Bridget, what really speaks to moms is I think as moms in general, we feel like we can't hold all of those things together. And I love that you used like there's a little bit of chaos. And I think if you're a mom, there is chaos. You have children, there's
For
chaos,
sure.
right? And I love
Yes.
that right now, it's like there's a realness to your story because you're living in this and you're doing a podcast episode, your children in the background. I'm running 2 businesses and you love it and you're holding place with this type A, type B personality. And
Uh-huh.
what you landed on is I'm here to help women be their authentic self.
Yeah, and not apologize for it either. Like, I
Yeah.
am not somebody who I mean, clearly, if you see a video of me or anything like that, I am not somebody I literally don't even own makeup. I have a chapstick. I don't own a hair product thingy. Like, I don't own a curler, a straightener, any of that stuff. We joke, I'm like kind of like the bougie farmer. Like,
Yeah.
again, if you come to our farm, it's like immaculate. Like, everything's immaculate. But I'm also going to be the one out there, like on the tractor with like mud spinning and like stuff like that. And
Yes.
so, like, that's just who I am. And so, therefore, I'm not going to try to be a person who likes getting hair and makeup done, who likes
Mhm.
designer clothes, like things like that, because that's just not me. And that's one of the beautiful things
Yeah.
about me. And what attracts my clients to me is that,
Yeah.
not trying to be that other person. And that's the beautiful thing about like our individuality. Like God has created each of us for a purpose, and he's sending people to us who are going to
Yeah.
resonate. And if it doesn't resonate, then that's okay. There's somebody else that you can support. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
just doing it from that like really unapologetic, like this is me. This is like I'm not going to try to be somebody different. I'm not
Mm-mm.
apologize for it. This is who I am. This is how God made me. I am an imperfect person, but I'm going to try my best to be the
Mhm.
person that is going to help you become who God wants you to be. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and that's so good because as women, Brigid, I think there is, I mean, from themes all over, we recognize there's this internal competition that I don't know what is happening
Mhm.
amongst women. And honestly, when we sit down as a community of women, all that we really want from each other is encourage
Oh,
that
for sure.
willingness and for you to be you and for me to be who I am. And women are all looking for that. But what I love that you're saying is there's permission in that. Like you don't, how you
Yeah.
show up is how you should be okay with that. And if you're a woman who wants to wear makeup and buy all the things, then that's
Good.
okay for you, but there
Yes.
isn't a comparison or competition. And you are confidently identifying and even saying that I have a bougie farm and I'm at the same time, I'm going to be on the tractor. And there's women who want to know that that's okay. Like you're allowed to
Yeah.
do all of those things because God is calling you to those types of activities and stewarding and
Yeah.
lifestyle.
And so the reason I say that though is because there's something about horses, there's studies on it. I forget like the science of it though, where it just brings this like calmness and this peace. And when you have that calmness
Yeah.
and that peace, that is giving you the opportunity to like really dig into who you are and what's important for you. And so like I
Mhm.
literally kind of grew up in a barn. Like I was at the barn all day, every day. Before I even had a horse, like I was like cleaning stalls to get free riding lessons and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
And then what that led to is like I was always in breeches or jeans. I was always like had a baseball cap on, just stuff like that. And then I needed to go to the store really quick. And I'm not going to change because it's like on my way home. And so even just it sounds so silly and so simple, but like that confidence to go into a store like that, maybe after
Mhm.
I've been at the barn all day and not look like super put together, but still like walk in there confidently. I am like, I just did it all day doing something I love, and I just need like a gallon of milk or something. Gonna run
Yeah.
in, run out. And it's just like doing little things like that. One, because it lights you up. And two, because again,
Mhm.
there's little micro confidence. Like, can you imagine your daughter or like even yourself sitting on this 1,000-pound animal and being like, I can
No.
control this? Not from, like fear or like
Yeah.
being like, um, like mean energy, but from that place of like, I am so grounded and calm that like this horse is going to
Mhm.
listen to me because I'm its
Mhm.
leader, not because I'm its boss. And so, like, if
Oh,
you
it's
can get your
beautiful.
kids into anything like this that gives them that confidence of like, I can lead, I can do these things.
Mhm.
Can you just imagine like what that's going to do for their confidence? And then,
Oh,
yeah, it's
yeah.
just so beautiful. So, a little
Yeah.
plug there.
Yeah, no, I love it, and I mean, my youngest rode horses for 3 years,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was the mom who didn't grow up on that, Brigid, and I knew my youngest daughter really wanted to do this. The confidence that she grew in just riding, and I would
Yeah.
say because I was scared of horses, but just
Yeah.
learning to actually now start to take care of a horse, it brought me a level of confidence, and I can so appreciate because this was substantial, is yes, when you're done at the barn and you really just need to go to the grocery store, there's no way I am running into the house to get changed just to run in to get a few things for supper. And there is an element of like going in rubber boots, your
Yeah,
hair is not done, and I don't really care. So I love that you
exactly.
I know it's so good. And I love that you're identifying. It's almost like if I can suggest this, is that women need to do something that feels so uncomfortable and it's
For
out of
sure.
their typical range of what they would do because at the outcome of that, there is confidence that gets birthed and
Yes,
not so much about caring about what other people think, but because of knowing simply who they are in
for
Christ
sure.
Jesus. And that might
Yes.
mean, just as you said, showing up at a grocery store in farm gear and all.
It's so true. And like again, I'm not advocating like don't get ready. Like I get my version of I get ready every day Whatever that
Mhm.
looks like for you might be different, but like I do get
Yes.
ready every single day. And that means that when I walk outside the door, no matter what I do, whether it's like I'm just seeing the horses or whether it is that I go to somewhere or like I have a call or whatever, I show up
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm confident and I'm proud that if I see anybody, like I'm not going to be like, oh my goodness, like it's
Yeah.
like, this is who I am, and I don't need to apologize for it, and it's okay if I don't look like you, like, we're all different, and there's just that when you can get
Yeah.
to that level of just that confidence in yourself, it's so beautiful what ends up what the fruits are.
Yeah. Okay, so curious then, when you look at the 2 businesses that you're leading, how have you taken that experience on how you see yourself and how you show up into your businesses as well?
Yeah, this is actually a really great question, and it's something I was wrestling with this past year. So again, the farm business, it's weddings and events, and then I also taught riding lessons for 10 years or so,
Wow.
and did horse training and stuff like that. And so what's interesting is in that first like 10 years of business, I never really identified as like a business owner because it was just something that
Nice.
it's like, this is just like what I did. It wasn't like I was running, I mean, like I do the books and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's just like I never got to that point of that I'm a business owner. And then whenever I came into the coaching business with Loretta Wellness, it really started to shift things years ago whenever I came in where I was like, whoa, like this is a different level of how I need to think about things because I don't even know how to describe it, but there's something different about like me being at the barn and somebody coming and bringing their horse to me and like to get on it and like
Right.
me doing that job well and then them leaving versus me coming into a coaching container and sitting and holding space for this person and
Mm.
like, helping them to see where they are, what their goals are, how to reach their goals. And then
Mhm.
having that continuation, like that continuing relationship for months and months, and just needing to show up as like that business person versus the horse trainer or
Right.
versus
Right.
the event venue owner. It's just that I don't know why there was just this like big identity thing that I was going through in this past year. I am a business owner. I have run a
Yeah.
almost 7-figure business now for the last 13 years. Like, and that's okay to own that. And it doesn't mean, and there's some of this Christian guilt too, where it doesn't mean that
Mm.
I'm a bad person because we are earning money and
Yes,
because
that's
we use that money to provide for our kids and for making experiences with them and like making sure that our farm looks nice and stuff like that. That doesn't mean that I'm a bad Christian to
no.
be able to make that money. And so that's one of the big things as well is like that identity as the business woman
Mhm.
and then also that it's okay to make money even as a Christian.
Oh my goodness, you're hitting like some
Yes.
really big hot topics. Bridget.
Yes.
Well,
I
and
tend
I
to.
yeah, no, and it's so good because I think as women we need to talk about those things. Like the fact that you hit 2 big topics and it's that you as a woman are also a business owner. So even though you
Yeah.
love what you're doing and you're helping many people, you also put that hat on and you're a business owner and you have to navigate and operate as a business owner. And then, of course, going to that Christians are allowed to make money. That
Yeah.
in itself is a whole episode in itself. But
I know it is.
I know it's so good though. And I want you to kind of speak into that because I know that you're not the only woman who's like, as a Christian woman, feeling a little, we're supposed to called to serve and disciple, and we're called to do
Yeah.
those things, but we don't talk about the money part or the business part.
Yeah.
Okay, so what has been complex in that? Like, where have you really navigated or struggled or come up against just thoughts or experiences around business and money?
Yeah. So, I mean, you think about all the holy people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like even Jesus, he, for all intents and purposes that we can tell, was not wealthy, did not have all the bougie things like that. And yet, like, that is what we consider to be holy. But there's this whole other side of other people in the Bible where it's like, we have these holy men and women in the Bible and throughout history where it's like you can see how holy they are because of their poverty
Mm.
and because of how they just have offered everything up to Christ. And then you see these other people who are also holy, but it's a harder way to see that holiness because they are still having that like worldly goods and things like that. And so most of us tend to drift towards like, well, if we want to be holy, then we have to be poor because that's how Jesus was. And like, that's how those men
Wow.
and women in the Bible were.
Yeah.
But in reality, like we can't have a church without money. Like a physical
No.
church, we can't have it without money. And the other thing to think about too, that this like kind of blew my mind whenever I was thinking about this. Actually, two things. One thing is like if you're a good person when you don't have money, you're going to be a good person when you do have money. And then if you're
Mm-hmm.
not a nice person when you don't have money, you're going to be not a nice person when you do have money. So that's one of the big permission things where it's like, if you know that you're a good person, even when you don't have that wealth, like
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to acquire that wealth because you're just going to be able to do exponentially more
That's
with it
right.
whenever you do have it. And so like that's the other thing. And then the one big thing that really helped me as well was to think there's no charity without business. So
There's
it's
no
like,
charity without goodness. Yes.
which we always, the goal is always like, right, to give to charity, to like
Mm.
be charitable, which is beautiful and obviously so, so necessary, but it's physically not possible without business. And it doesn't have to be with money. It's any
No.
sort of transaction. So
Mhm.
think about a baker back in the old times, right? Like if he wanted to give bread to the poor, he had to engage in some transaction with another business owner to get the wheat or to get whatever. And if he
Yes.
didn't do that business transaction, then he literally couldn't give to the poor. And so, like, getting your mind around this idea that business isn't bad. How
Bus-
people use it can be bad. But again, God created everything inherently good. And so, therefore, it is inherently good unless we choose to use it for bad.
So good. That's so good, Bridget. Well, and I think I push back too on there's money and what kingdom do we want to put the money into? Because either
Oh, for
kingdom
sure.
is going to be expanded. So I think
Yep.
Christians have to have a different understanding of money because as you said, we actually need money to grow a business. We actually need money to flow into a charity. And if
Yep.
Christians aren't using that money to expand the kingdom of God, there's another kingdom who's ready and
Yes.
willing to take that money and use it to expand darkness. And I would say, let's get the money in the hands of the Christians so that we
Yes.
can disciple and turn it back into something that's prosperous for the kingdom. So you're speaking about that in a way that helps women know if they're battling like if I can even suggest that there's probably women who are going to watch your episode and they're going to want to build a business but they're also battling under, well, I don't know if I should be doing that because I have children and I
Yeah.
really need to show up in that way. And maybe this is a great opportunity for those women who have business ideas who are also
Mhm.
moms to hear from you to say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So along with that, like again, I have 5 children and they're all young and we homeschool. And what has been so beautiful is that I have done things very differently than most like successful business owners. Yeah. So even now you can hear that my kids are around me all the time. And so that doesn't work for some people because maybe they don't have like the capacity for it or whatnot. But can you just think about how
Mhm.
beautiful it is that if you were able to show, not even just tell, but show your children what it means to be a businesswoman and to show like that mommy's building
Yeah.
something beautiful for God alongside you. And if God's called you to it, that this is what, in order to get to heaven, this is what you need to do. And if you don't, then it actually can lead you further
Mhm.
away. You know what I mean? And so, like, obviously be discerning. Like,
Yeah.
if it's just this, like, if it's not his plan, then don't do it. But if you have discerned that, like, you have this goal, one way to think about it is again, like, you're showing your kids what's possible for them too. And not even just in the
Yeah.
intermediate
That's
or in the immediate, but also in the future where they can learn, like, oh, I can have a business and we can get into the whole like 9 to 5 trap and everything like that. But like, that I
oh,
don't have to work
you
for
really
somebody,
can, yes.
that like
Yeah. Yeah.
I can create really is what it is, especially in the age of AI where it's like everybody's losing how to create. And
Oh,
that's how we're made in God's image and likeness is to create because God's a creator. And so just even
mhm.
showing them that, like that you can create something. And even if you're not paid millions of dollars for it, like that's okay. What you create is still beautiful. It's still wonderful, even if
That's
it's
right.
making like sourdough and selling it on the weekends, or whether it's making millions of dollars, whatever it is, whatever you've
Right.
discerned, it's beautiful. And again, it's something for God. If he's called you, if you've discerned that that's what he's
Yeah.
calling you to. And so just remembering that again, you're showing your children a path. Not that they have to take the path, but it's you're
Mhm.
showing them a path. And then the other thing with that too is I mentioned your business doesn't have to look like a 9 to 5 business.
No.
My businesses do not look like 9 to 5 businesses. And
Mm.
that's the beautiful thing about it, where they don't have to. And so like I can work when I'm able to work. If like on Friday for our co-op, we went and visited a nursing home and played games with the residents there. So I just
Mhm.
blocked off my day. I didn't have any meetings, any calls or anything like that. And like
Yeah.
that's the beautiful thing about it too, is like when you own your own business, you're in charge of things. You get to choose what that looks like. And so there's
Yeah.
so many different ways to think of it. So basically, like if the enemy's feeding you this like negative lie, I always encourage you to think like, what's the opposite? What's the truth that God's actually trying to
Mhm.
tell you? but he's not going to shout it at you like the enemy is. He's going to whisper it.
No. No, that's right.
So,
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so Bridget, one of the things that I do want to come back to is you had said, and I love that you use this because I mean, you're not the only woman who has said, I'm attempting to steward. I really that statement is that I'm attempting because I know there's so many women who've like, I've attempted to do a lot, but I know that I'm failing because it ironically anchors into just what you said too, is that the enemy is going to shout,
yeah.
but we have a heavenly father who's so merciful and gentle and loving. And it's this loud voice that says you're not doing enough and you're failing. And it's that internalized belief that the enemy just wants women to anchor onto. And God's
Yeah.
like, no, like, I mean, you're not running this race of being perfect. So I love that you use the word attempting. I just want you to share your heart around that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing with that is first acknowledging that we're fallen people living in a fallen world and that no
Yeah.
matter what we do, we're going to mess up. Like
Yeah.
that's just our nature of it. I forget what I was listening to where he was in the most charitable way. He was basically like, humans are kind of dumb. Like we think that we know all that and like that and obviously we're very successful and like stuff like that. But
Yeah.
like when it comes to God's plan, we don't know
Mhm.
anything. And
No.
so like we're not like the angels who have this knowledge and like understand things. It's like we're very limited in what we know. And so we're only here for, God willing, 80 to 100 years. And that's such a sliver of time in comparison to eternity. And so it's
Yeah.
just like remembering that we are humans, that we have mortality, that we're going to make mistakes and mess up. And when you can acknowledge that, not only from the perspective of like just the basic, we're going to die and like we're going to mess up, but when
Yeah.
you can acknowledge that from the perspective of like your children and how you parent,
Mm.
it really starts to shift things because then you're going to start to have conversations with your kids around like, wow, I'm really sorry. Like, mommy was not nice, or like I made a mistake, or like
Mhm.
things like that. And just think about like, obviously, we don't want to damage our children, but inadvertently, we likely are in some capacity, in some cases, not all every
Mhm.
single day necessarily, but in some cases. And I always think about how it's like our children are like vases, right?
Mhm.
We accidentally put a little crack in them. And that's when we have God's grace who comes in and like can repair that crack with like a beautiful flower or
Yeah.
something like that. And so
Yeah.
just remembering again our own humanity and
Yeah.
being kind to ourselves and like admitting when we mess up
Mhm.
and trying harder next time is huge.
Yeah. Bridget, I think that's so beautiful. I love that you said, remember your humanity, because I
Mhm.
think so many women put so much pressure on themselves, especially as Christian women. There's so much pressure, and our Heavenly Father is not looking at any single person with that pressure
Yeah,
to exist or to be perfect or to measure up to what standard. I mean, there isn't a standard because we have Jesus who went to the cross and redeemed all of us. And so when we recognize that to live that from that place is the straining, right? It's the exhaustion, it's all of the things that actually causes women to want to walk away from the things that God has asked them to do. So I love that you shared that. So again, just as you're talking, I'm curious because I know the amount of wisdom that you have that you are speaking from, which I'm so privileged just to do this episode and gain all of the wisdom. Like I know so many women are going to, but wisdom comes through adversity. Right? We don't get wisdom without that. And I often challenge my own children and I say, yeah, like I think there's age, you need age and wisdom because you go through hard stuff and that's where the wisdom comes.
yeah,
So
for sure.
so as you've been building your businesses and you're stewarding your family, what would you say is like what are the lessons or adversity that you've walked through that has brought this wisdom?
Well, I mean, every single day, God gives us opportunities, right? Like even
Yeah.
I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago, where my kids we were having a particularly difficult day. We'll just say that,
Mhm.
and did the prayer where it's like, "Give me patience," and I was like, "God, I don't need the opportunity for patience. I actually need the patience."
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah. That's good.
yeah, so just like again, just remembering every single day, whether it's good or bad or like ugly or whatever, is that opportunity for that growth. Yeah. And one thing too is if you can just have compassion for yourself, even when things are really hard, and to just trust that like God, all work works. It's either working on you or it's working for you. And one way that I really like to think about this is that, yeah, is that pretend like you're a little kid and, or even think about your own children and say, no, we're not by yet. Sorry, I have my 2-year-old here. And so we have, say you give your 2-year-old a cup of milk and he's like, I really want to take it to the table. And you know, like that he's going to mess up. Like, you know that he's going to spill it. You know it's going to like end up all over the floor. But you know that this is also important for him building that independence. And so you give it to him anyways. And you obviously set things up. So maybe you don't fill it to the very tippy top. Maybe it's in a plastic cup or whatever, things like that. So that it does set him somewhat up for success. But ultimately, you know that he's still going to fail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By fail, it's like it's not going to get to the table in one piece.
Absolutely.
That's sort of how God sees us, though, where it's like he gives us this life, right? And he knows that we're going to mess it up. So he tries to put in like fail safes to sort of help us out a little bit. But no, we're not by yet. But ultimately, he looks at us with that love of like, I'm so proud of you for doing this. And I know that it's so hard. And that I know that it feels like you're like sitting there kind of watching the milk slosh all over the place. And it's so difficult and so hard, but like he's just looking at you with such, again, so proud, so much love. And like when you can even go through difficult things and you can see that about yourself of like, God's looking at me like that.
I know.
Like, even if I messed up, then you start to see every different adversity or bad things that happen in a different light. Because again, you know then that God's not going to do anything if it's not for your good. You know that he's not going to. You know he's not trying to like booby trap you and like make you fail.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think that's a really beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think just even the fact is you're describing that, Brigid, is that here you are as a mom right now. You're exemplifying the patience that it takes to be a mom. And I would imagine just the irony in all of this right now, which I think is so cool, is that here's one of your kiddos who at the developmental stage as they are, that is the stage where they're exploring, they're busy, they want to figure out independence, but I need my mom. And I think it's such a great symbolism of what it is for us, like with God, right? And he is still patient. He lets us explore and then we get to come back and then we get parameters and boundaries. And I love that as you're talking, there's just like a cool picture that's being developed as you're doing that. And that's really what God, because he's not sending you away and say, well, because you didn't do this. He's like, there's an invitation. His arms are always open and saying to his daughters, come as you are, bring everything, and I will allow you to experience adversity, but I will always be here. You can come back and we wrestle this together. And I just, I love that picture for women as they wrestle with just, again, that's internal. I'm attempting to do these things. And I think we just need to break off of women. Like, you don't need to strive in that. I love that you're just talking about just show up as you are and just describing this gentleness of our Heavenly Father. And I think that's a very different place to be, especially as a Christian woman who's leading multiple things at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess just to piggyback off of that, like even with my little one coming in, he's almost 2. So he is very much at that developmental stage where he's like, I'm independent. I can do all the things, but then I really want you. And like, I want that thing right now. And like, and just, I know it frustrates some people to see them on like videos or whatnot, but I love it because I think it normalizes that we can hold both.
Yes.
And like, we don't have to be the businesswoman and then the mom. It's like, you can be the mom who runs the business and you can do both really, really well.
Yeah.
And like, so yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there too, because if any of you are listening and you're like, I really want to start something, but like, I can't because I have kids, or like, I can't because my little one's too small, or like, whatever. Again, that's just one of those lies the enemy's telling you. And I'm not going to say it's like easy. Some days it would be nice to like go to an office where like, you know what I mean? But there's so much beauty there, and it's so much formation, not only for them, but also for you as well.
Yeah.
In those moments of practicing patience and all of the other virtues and things like that. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, that is so good. And I think there's so many women who are going to hear that, because I know that there's somebody who has a business on their heart, but they're saying not yet, no, not yet. Because,
Mhm.
like you said, I have a 2-year-old who's, experiencing, but maybe it's not about that. Maybe the Lord is expressing, no, you can do all those things. You have the capacity through Him. He gives
Yeah,
the capacity. And when you flow from that posture, it's a very different place to land when you're
for
maybe
sure.
ready to do something but scared. So,
Yeah, for
Brigid,
sure.
as we come to a close, is there something that you can speak to women who really just need to hear something in this season of their life, whatever is on your heart, just before we end?
Sorry about that. Had a little
That's
cough.
okay.
So I think one of the biggest things that I always want women to understand is that God is never doing anything to punish you or to make things hard for you.
Mm.
Everything that He's doing is for your good. Even the bad things are for your good. Okay. And so when people can shift their mindset to, again, God allowed this, He didn't necessarily want it, but He allowed this for me.
Yeah.
That's whenever you can start to really surrender to
Mm.
whatever it is that He is calling you to do. Right?
Mhm.
And so like right now, if you're listening and something bad happened to you, or like you're going through something really hard, just keep remembering, like, God doesn't necessarily want that for you, but He's allowing it for you for your formation and
Oh,
for your
that's
greater
good.
sanctification. And it's your responsibility to
Mhm.
continue to, yeah, it's your responsibility to continue to grow as a person. There's no middle ground. And so, like,
Mhm.
right now, surrender and trust that God's plan is doing things in your life that you couldn't even imagine. And then also take that active step towards Him, whatever that
Mhm.
means for you. Because again,
Yeah.
it's either you're going towards Him or away from Him. And we want to have ourselves go towards Him and everybody that's behind us. Because when you get to heaven one day, God's not going to ask, "What did you do? What did you do for me?" That's just such a beautiful thing to think about, through how
Mm.
I act, through how I trust, through how I surrender.
Mhm.
So just, yeah,
Yeah.
just any of that.
Well, thank you so much, Brigid, for joining. I think women who had questions or had wondering, can I do all of these things? At the
Hmm.
same time, what I love is you've encouraged and challenged that women can. They can
Yeah,
do all of these things. They can be a mom, they can lead a business, they can recognize that we're still stewarding and still attempting, but it's not from a place of perfection. So I just
for
want to
sure.
thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you for sharing your story and your wisdom, such grounded in wisdom. And I really, really appreciate your time. And I love that you're so real with your kiddos. So it's just such a pleasure and such a gift. So I value that so much. I will leave everybody the ways they can reach out to you as we post your episodes, so no one will miss being able to access your support and resources as well. So thank you for joining me on Sword and Grace Unscripted.